And I'm going to share my screen because I like to use PowerPoints. Not everybody does, but I like to. Okay, so thanks for coming today. Um, Today's webinar is on 3 secrets to perimenopause success. So we're going to talk a little bit about perimenopause and some of the things that we might be going through, some stuff that I have been going through, and then some things that I've done that have helped with some of my symptoms. So let's get started. So if you don't, I think most of you know me. If you don't know me, I'm a holistic nutritionist, personal trainer, Zumba instructor, yoga instructor. I have 3 kids and I'm a health practitioner. So I'm really focusing on women's health. Specifically weight loss is what I was in. But as I'm working with clients, I'm starting to understand a little bit more about what we are going through when we kind of hit 40 years old or older, and sometimes even late 30s. And so I want to start to bring a little bit more awareness of that, and just help women through some of these perimenopause symptoms. So we can kind of dance through perimenopause. So yeah, there's a lot of information in here. So just if you don't have any distractions, that's helpful. I know I locked my dog out, so she won't distract me. There's a few notes that you can take if you want. So if you want to grab a pen and paper, you can. And yeah, use the chat box to ask some questions if you want. So, some questions that sort of come up is that I see repetitively is that I feel different. I don't quite feel like myself or how I used to feel, and I don't know where I've gone, and I'm not sure that the person that I was before, my physical body, my emotional body, is going to come back. And that seems to be an ongoing question. Like, things are changing and I don't know if I'm going to come back. So here's some things that maybe you might be experiencing. So your body is shifting, your body is changing, and the things that you did in your 20s and 30s might not be working anymore. It was maybe easy to maintain body weight in your 20s and 30s because you could just work out, and then you could work away your calories and that would be fine. You didn't feel these like intense stress moments. Maybe your PMS was a little bit better. So, it's just whatever you use, popping a Tylenol, maybe that helped in your 20s and 30s. That's not helping now. Maybe you're feeling the need for more rest. Weight loss is hard. That could be something else that you're expecting. Maybe you're getting more aches and pains just randomly. Maybe you're experiencing brain fog, anxiety, depression. You may have digestive issues, allergies. If you didn't have allergies before, maybe you have allergies now, or maybe if you did have allergies before, they're starting to get worse. And then also thinking about our cycles, are you getting irregular periods? Is your cycle shorter? Are you noticing that maybe you're having 2 periods in a month now? Yay, wonderful. And then not only that, but they're actually heavier periods. So 2 periods in a month and they're heavier. Like, lovely life that we're heading into here. So maybe you're just trying to manage the way that you did in your 20s and 30s, but it's just doesn't seem to be working out for you. And that is because your hormones are not the same as they were in the 20s and 30s, as they were in our 20s and 30s. And they're not going to be the same as they were in our 20s and 30s. So we need to find a new way. And hopefully this webinar will help you find a few new ways. So what we're going to talk about today is how to implement 3 strategies for ease in perimenopause. So the first strategy is we're going to be talking about the transition. So kind of a new way of thinking as we go through this transition, and with those decrease in hormones, we need to have a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about nutrition, specifically balancing insulin and how important that is for perimenopause. And then the last one we're going to talk about is movement. I did put up a poll and I said, do you want to talk about stress? Do you want to talk about movement? It was 50-50 on Instagram, 50-50 on Facebook. So I went with movement because, well, I do movement too with Zumba and yoga and just some training. So I thought it would be good to talk about movement, and it's an important topic. So before we dig in, I just wanted to share kind of my story and what I've been going through. and kind of why I'm digging into this a little bit more. Again, as I'm seeing my clients through this phase, I'm focused on weight loss for them because that's their goal, but it's amazing how many other things are popping up. And as they are working with me and they're like, hey, I'm actually sleeping through the night and I didn't have to get up and go pee. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? Because it just becomes a normal symptom, right? It's normal for us to get up and go pee. It's not normal. We shouldn't have to do that. And the other thing is, my PMS symptoms are much better now. And I was like, I didn't know they were bad to begin with. And again, it's just these symptoms we just start to accept and just go, oh, this is the way our body is. But over time, we start to lose this quality of life because we're always dealing with these symptoms. So I want to help you ease those symptoms so you feel better. Okay, so I'm now 46. So when I was 40, I got these pictures taken because I was so excited. Like, I was following a paleo diet. It was working really well for me. I had 3 kids already, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. I was at my ideal weight. I felt so good. So I went, got pictures taken. And then 1 year later, 1 year later at 41, I started to get really heavy periods. I had to cancel some of my exercise classes like once a month because the periods were so bad. My PMS was really bad. So not only moody and irritable, but my cramping was extremely bad as well. I think because the periods were so heavy, magnesium rubbing all over my body. I had essential oils rubbing all over. I had to sleep with hot pads because it was so bad. And plus I started to gain weight. So I thought that at 40, I had figured it out, and I didn't really figure it out. I started to gain weight, and the paleo lifestyle I was using wasn't working anymore. So we had that year, we'd rented a cottage for a week. And of course, on vacation, I got my period. This is me trying to have fun while I am bleeding a lot. It was so heavy, and I had a Diva cup, so I was measuring. And then I ended up going to Emerge because I'd lost like a liter of blood. And I was like, wow, that seems like a lot of blood. I think I better go get this checked out. I don't know if something was cut. I don't know. I feel if you got a scrape on your arm and you lost a liter of blood, that's a really big deal. So I was like, I better go get this checked out. So I go to Emerge and I'm there waiting. I mean, we all wait in Emerge. Losing a liter of blood while you're menstruating isn't really that important, I guess. And then when I finally got in to see the doctor, he was like, and it was a male doctor, so obviously he's not sympathetic to anything that's going on. And he's like, well, why are you here? Like, what do you want me to do about it? I was like, what? Like, why am I here? I just told you I lost like a liter of blood. Like, is that not of concern? And he could see that I was really concerned. So he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll give you a prescription for, I think it was called tranexamic acid, which is a blood clotter. So you could take this and it'll clot your blood. So I'm like, so I'm still going to bleed the same amount, only it's going to be clotted now. And he's like, yes. And I said, okay, is that of like any concern? And he said, well, I'll tell your doctor about it and see what we can do. And you can follow up with her. So I did get the prescription for tranexamic acid, and I tried it 1 month, but it wasn't getting to the root cause of why I was bleeding so much. And it ended up clotting my blood, so that I bled for 3 weeks instead of 5 days. So you either get 3 weeks of like a low flow or you get 5 days of heavy. To me, it was, it wasn't helping at all. So my family doctor followed up with me. She had talked about there being some inflammation causing the heavy period. So at least I could say, okay, there's inflammation. That's something that I can deal with and try to get to the root cause of that inflammation. And then she said, take some iron supplements. So I took some iron supplements, and then she ordered an ultrasound. So at least I was getting some help there. We are trying to figure out what was going on. So a year later, I had an ultrasound, and then they found a polyp. And a year after that, I had an ablation. So this is like a 3-year process to get help. So when they did the ablation, they said, we didn't actually find a polyp in your uterus. So, but we did the ablation anyway. So ablation is they just kind of burn the inside of the cells of your uterus so that you're not, those cells that produce blood, that you're not bleeding anymore. It lasts for about 5 years. and then it'll come back. So I figured, so this was a few years ago. So I figured I'd be about 50 by the time that my period would come back, and then I'd be well into menopause. So I should only bleed for a few more years, and then I should be okay. So, did I get to the root cause of anything and heal? No, I didn't. I just got a Band-Aid basically. Now the Band-Aid has been good in that it stopped the heavy bleeding, but there were still things happening. So gaining more weight, and then these perimenopause symptoms just kept coming on. So headaches, which were really bad and severe, turning into migraines, and even constant ringing in my ears. And the ringing so bad that like I had to like hold my head to just kind of like put pressure on it to relieve pressure, like anything to kind of relieve that ringing. And I'm sure I have to go get my hearing checked, because I'm pretty sure that ringing in my ears has caused some hearing damage for sure. I was still irritable, and angry. My joints were still aching. I had bladder issues, so I started to leak. I was playing volleyball, and I like served the ball, and then it was just whoosh, and my pelvic floor, which used to hold everything, just like went away. It wasn't holding anything. And I think like that night I didn't have any pad, anything. Luckily I had black shorts on, but I just like I peed the whole night while I was playing volleyball. It was just ridiculous because I just didn't have any pelvic floor support. So yeah, so just noticing these symptoms that are happening. And these symptoms for me are due to the declining estrogen and progesterone, which we are experiencing in our as we get into our late 30s and 40s and onward. But I've made a comeback. So I've lost the weight that I've gained, and I've got a clear plan for that. So my cramping is way less. Headaches are way less. I don't even think I've had a headache this summer. Ringing in my ears is not, it comes a little bit, but it's not, so it's like excruciating pain. I'm less irritable, less angry. And so I'm on a clear path to fixing my problems, even with the bladder leakage, getting some help there as well to fixing that. So those are just my symptoms, but I think everybody has their own range of symptoms that they go through. So here is just some of the common symptoms. So you hear a lot of like hot flashes and night sweats. I hear that a lot from some of my friends. Sleep problems, so waking up in the night, not being able to get to sleep, or getting to sleep fine and then waking up in the middle of the night and not getting back to sleep. Weight gain, especially around that middle tummy area. Loss of libido, hair loss or thinning hair, irregular periods, and mood swings are the common, but there's so many more. And there could be some on here that you're experiencing that aren't even listed on here. So joint pain and muscle aches, bloating, we get into some digestive issues, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, heart palpitations, high blood pressure, itchiness, like just itchy skin for no reason, period pain without a period if you're not menstruating anymore, bitter metallic taste in your mouth, brittle nails. I just had a friend that was talking to me about this a month ago, about having brittle nails and not being able to grow her nails, dizziness, nausea, tingling or numbness or pins and needles feeling, sometimes in your fingers or in your feet, anxiety and panic attacks. You may have not experienced this before, but now you're starting to go through it. Depression, digestive issues, headaches, heavy bleeding during your period, increased PMS, memory lapses, shorter or lighter periods, bladder infections, urinary leaking and urgency to go, chills, dry mouth or dry eyes, and new or worsening allergies. So does anybody have any more to add to that list? And I'm sure it's unique to you, but I think if you have something like, this is weird, I've never had this before, and it's starting, it's probably due to our loss of estrogen and progesterone that's coming up. So where do we go from here? So let's see what we can do to just feel a little bit better. So this first secret is just the transition. And so I'm going to switch holistic health. I'm going to talk about Ayurveda for a minute. So Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga. It is a 5,000-year-old holistic health science. practice. So it's got lots of years of practice behind it, lots of longevity. And so in Ayurveda, they break a lot of elements in life up into doshas specifically. So they have 3 doshas. One is called kapha. Kapha is very wet and moist. There's one that's pitta, that is like fire. And then there's one that's vata, that's very airy and windy. So each of our own personalities, we can be a pitta personality or a vata or a kapha personality or combinations of those. We have times during the day, and you could probably think about a time during the day when you're really fired up and you get a lot of work done. Usually that's morning time, and that would be a pitta time of day, or times of day where you just want to relax and not do as much. That would be like a kapha time of day. There's seasons. So pitta being a fire, in the summer, we're in the pitta season, whereas kapha, that moist, is more winter season. And then we also have seasons of life. So according to Ayurveda, in our 20s and 30s, we are in this pitta energy, this fiery energy. And if you think about yourself in your 20s, you are focusing on career, you're focusing on your profession, maybe focusing on finding a partner, getting a house, getting a car, kids. It's just a very fired up, busy time. And we put a lot of energy into gaining this stability. And we are supported with this pitta energy in our 20s and 30s to get us through. And maybe if you take a moment and think about what life was like for you in your 20s and 30s, you might be like, wow, I can't believe I did all that stuff. I can't believe I was able to keep up with all that stuff in my 20s and 30s. And that is that pitta energy. And I remember people would be like, oh, I'm so stressed out. And I'd be like, I thrive off of stress. Like, I do not thrive off of stress right now anymore. But I was younger. I was like, yeah, more stress is better. Like, what was I thinking? That's just ridiculous. So as we approach our 40s, we get into a new phase. We're getting out of the pitta phase, and we're getting into this vata energy, which is very airy and windy and creative and flowy. And so according to Ayurveda, we kind of want to work a little bit smarter and not harder. We're retreating a little bit into ourselves. We're trying to find ourselves and what our passions are and what we want to do. This is sometimes a time in our life where maybe we take on like a new profession, or maybe we take on a side job that we do, or our hobbies are really expanding because we're really passionate about this. I always have like 2 lives. I live like I'm the holistic nutritionist that teaches Zumba and yoga, and then I love farming, and I have like a garden and bees, and I want to get a goat, like completely different things, but like finding myself, that's what I want to do. So we come into this retreat of who do we want to be, what do we want to do, and hopefully you're resonating with this, maybe you're feeling that as well. And then we want to maybe come out of our retreat and share our wisdom, because we've got 20 years in our profession in the workforce. We've got a lot of wisdom that we can share with people. So we'll share our wisdom, and then we want to retreat back and just kind of be ourselves and figure out what we want to do. And that is the vata energy. So in our 20s and 30s, we build this security within the world, which takes an enormous amount of effort and fiery energy. And now we've got the security, so we're just kind of pulling away and investigating what's going on with ourselves. So it seems though, okay, I should have said, warning, I'll probably lose internet connection halfway through, because I always do. All right, let me share my screen. Yeah, so it seems as though society doesn't really want to adapt to what we're going through, though. And society wants us to keep pushing, wants us to keep driving, wants us to keep shoving, and we just want to be like, no, we've done the work, we're good. We'll share our wisdom, but we want to retreat. So that's kind of the sad thing. So, one thing we can talk about is energy. And so you might think, well, I don't, do you have the energy that you used to? And you might answer, no, I don't have the energy that you used to, but you do still have that energy. It's just that we are wiser now, and we're putting our energy into other things. So instead of having work that was pushing us and driving us, and we pushed and we drove, Now we are, we're wiser, and we can't ignore the messages of to just, we're tired, so let's rest. That's what we need to do. And we need to pay attention to this fatigue and not drive and push anymore. And I like to call this the perimenopause pause. And even yesterday, I worked until 1. I took my lunch and I was going to go back to work. And I'm like, no, I need a little bit more pause. So I just laid in my hammock and I'm like, I'm taking a perimenopause pause because that's what I need to get the energy to get back going. So, you have that wisdom now. There's more ways to get things done than using grit and determination. And it's okay to take a rest, take a moment, and let that creativity, because that's what is flowing through you in that Vata energy, let that creativity to come through and then impart that wisdom. And so finding better ways, not working harder, but working smarter. Now, in terms of hormones, we have less estrogen and we have less progesterone in our body now as we're heading into our 40s, and progesterone specifically is a buffer against all of these stress hormones. So that's why we could thrive off of stress, because we had progesterone that was protecting us, protecting those stress hormones from taking over and telling us that we are tired. Well, now with the decrease in those hormones, we're tired and we're feeling tired, and we need to honor that. We need to honor that for our body, and we need to rest. So we have the same amount of energy. We just have to prioritize things differently. And so, maybe instead of driving the kids around, we're spending time in nature and putting our energy into that. So what happens if we don't slow down? So our brain is still like, we have to go, go, go. Our body's going, no, you need to slow down. Well, what's going to happen is that those perimenopause symptoms are going to escalate, and you're going to feel them more and more and more. So it's so important now more than ever to just take some rest and take that pause for yourself, so your body can recoup, so those stress hormones don't get out of control and you don't get to burnout. We don't want you to get to burnout. We want you to stay, have a good quality of life and feel good, but it requires you to listen to your body and take those pauses. Yeah, so just listen, get quiet, create some space, and listen to your heart. What is your heart telling you? What is your body, mind, and soul telling you to do? And really dive into that intuition of what's going on, because we don't have our hormones to protect us anymore. So we have to do the work. That is the biggest message today, is that our hormones aren't there to protect us anymore. So we have to do the work. All right. So the next secret is around nutrition, and it's basically my spiel that I tell all the time, and that is to balance the hormone insulin. So you might be thinking like, why do we have to balance insulin? Isn't that like a diabetes thing? And we often think of insulin being as it relates to diabetes. So when we have type 2 diabetes or we're pre-diabetic, our body is showing insulin resistance. So we eat food, the food turns into, if it's any carbohydrates or sugar, it turns into blood sugar, it turns into sugar, it goes into our blood. Our body can't absorb blood sugar, but it sends out insulin. Insulin is a hormone that will attach to the sugar and bring it into our muscles or bring it into our organs or to our brain or wherever it needs to happen. But so with diabetes or being pre-diabetic, our body's not accepting the insulin. So we're getting these high blood sugar values in our blood. But insulin can affect us so much more, and it's really playing havoc on our body, on our health. So one thing is that it's when we have lots of insulin flowing around in our bloodstream, you may go to the doctor's office and get blood work back, and you might have an increase in your triglycerides and your cholesterol levels. I just had a woman reach out to me a couple weeks ago, and she was saying like, I need a meal plan because my cholesterol is really high, and I have to have really low fat. And it's hard because I know that's what the doctor's saying, like low fat. And so yes, we need to start watching our fat intake and making sure that we're having really good quality fats and the right amount of fats, but we need to watch our insulin. That is the biggest trigger, is our insulin levels. So increased insulin also increases our stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol. So this is like a double whammy, because before, if we had increased insulin and our stress levels increased, we'd had progesterone to help buffer that. But now we don't have progesterone to help buffer that. So we've got increased stress because of our lifestyle, and we've got increased stress because of our elevated insulin, which is going to lead to burnout. And then increased stress is going to lead to high blood pressure. This is where we can start getting those high blood pressure diagnoses. Leads to fat synthesis, specifically if you're feeling that you're getting weight gain around the belly area. It's going to accumulate there. It decreases melatonin. So melatonin is the hormone that makes us want to fall asleep and stay asleep. So when we are decreasing melatonin, we're decreasing that signal to sleep, and we're decreasing our ability to have a good night's sleep. It also decreases DHA, which is the mother of all hormones. It's the mother of our estrogen or progesterone. So our ovaries are saying, we don't want to produce estrogen and progesterone anymore. And now if we have high insulin or elevated insulin, it's also telling DHA like, yeah, so let's just like shut them down. Like we don't even want to produce this anymore, which makes the transition even harder. We just get this hammer of perimenopause symptoms. So this is our little chart and if you were to, so the red at the bottom is times that we are eating. So if we were to eat every 2 hours, this looks like 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, and 6. So eating 6 hours, and you can see every time that we eat, insulin goes up, insulin goes up, insulin goes up. So if you were to eat 6 meals a day, your insulin is getting released 6 times a day. If you combine your snack with your breakfast and just eat it all together like a really big meal, insulin's only going to be released once, and then it's going to come down, and then we'll eat again and it'll be released and it'll come down, and it'll be released and it'll come down. So just for balancing our insulin output, something that we can very easily do on paper is switch from 6 meals to 3 meals a day. And it's something to practice for sure. And I keep practicing it all the time I'm practicing. And, you know, if you are still kind of like, I find now I'm in the cycle where kids have soccer, so we're eating early at like 4:30, but then when we get home at 9, I'm hungry. So I'm in this bad habit right now of spiking my insulin before bed, which is not good. But again, like I said, it's always practicing and figuring out how you can improve. So 3 meals is much better than having 6 for sure. So some suggestions, other suggestions to balance your blood sugar. So 3 meals a day, no snacking, and watch the drinks in between meals. So drinks are going to affect everybody differently. I don't know if your black coffee is going to affect your insulin. I'm not sure if the herbal tea is going to affect your insulin. If you had a monitor, you could check it. But what I would do is for 2 weeks, just have your drinks with your meals. 3 meals a day. Do that for 2 weeks. See how you feel. See how that resonates with your body. Do you have less perimenopause symptoms? Are you losing weight around the belly area? So pay attention to that. And then whatever you're missing, if you're like, I'm really missing that 3 o'clock coffee, then put it in and see how your body reacts. Do you still lose weight? Are your symptoms still, reduced from what they were? So if they are, then you know that black coffee or that herbal tea or whatever that drink is has no effect on your insulin. It has to be no calories, right? So as soon as you put in like a sugar or cream, or you get like a fun drink, it's going to increase your insulin a little bit. One thing that I like to do, so I take an hour eating window. So I'll eat my meal, and then as I approach that hour, I will make like my favorite drink, like a latte or something, and I'll drink that. So I kind of having 2 meals, but it's in an hour span. So your body just recognizes it as 1 meal because all the food's still in your stomach. So we got to watch our sugar. So 40 to 60 grams of sugar per day, mostly from vegetables and fruits. Really start looking into things like monk fruit and stevia, those healthier, no sugar options for sweetening your food. That's going to really help. And then the other thing too, so protein with every meal, definitely protein with every meal, because it's going to bring down your blood sugar response and less insulin. But if you can begin each meal with 2 bites of protein, what that does is it turns on glucagon, and glucagon is the opposite hormone to insulin. So it kind of also brings that response down, that blood sugar response down. And protein, we have so many sources of protein, right? We've got yogurt, we've got cheese, we've got any kind of meat, eggs, beans, nuts and seeds. There's some mushrooms that are yogurt. We have collagen powder. We have protein powder. If you're having like a smoothie where it has like the collagen powder and the protein powder, I always say just grab 2 almonds and eat those almonds first, and then have your smoothie. So that is a big thing for nutrition, is just to balance that insulin so that we can balance those hormones. Just, our body is still producing estrogen, it's still producing progesterone. We don't want anything that's going to say stop altogether. We still want those hormones to be active and be there. So the more we can support that, the better it is. It just helps us ease into this transition. Okay, so the next one is movement. And if you have not made movement a priority, now is definitely the time. So movement for fun, movement for function. So, I hate to say this, but as we're getting older, we need these movements to be functional. Like, can you put your shoe on? Can you bend down and put your shoe on and tie it up? Can you reach up into a cupboard to grab something? If you go to trip, can you catch yourself? Like these movements that are functional, that are going to protect us from breaking anything or hurting anything. We need movement to support our bones. So we need to build muscle around our bones. Movement for stress relief, because like I said, we don't have progesterone anymore to help with that. So if we can get those endorphins going for stress relief, that's going to help. Movement for heart health, because estrogen is a big protector of our heart and helps with heart disease. So if estrogen starts to decline, again, we don't have that hormone there again to help with our heart. Movement for weight maintenance and weight loss as well. So, when we are in kind of our childbearing years, estrogen and progesterone, they really do so much more for us than we don't give them credit for. They really keep everything tight and toned. So they give us that really youthful appearance. And you may be noticing now, like, this is usually the big one. Like this starts to get really like flabby around in our 40s, because just even the exercise that we're doing sometimes doesn't like fill it out anymore. Like estrogen and progesterone just keeps everything nice and tight and toned for us. It helps protect our heart. They protect us from too many stress hormones, protect our bone health. Estrogen is important for keeping our bones nice and strong. They help keep our metabolism in check. What happens though is that when those hormones decline, they're not doing the work for us. So now again, we need to do the work for us because those hormones aren't there to do it. So I always say pick something that you love and just do it. Whatever that is, pick it and do it. Get that activity going. A sport or activity that you played when you were younger, usually that brings up so much more fun and such a thrill to do it again. Maybe something that you haven't done that you want to do, like horseback riding. I know a lot of women get into horseback riding. When they get a little bit older, they just love that connection to horses. I know I really want to do those pole classes. I did a pole, just like a 2-hour session once, and it was so much fun. I wish they had them in Napanee, but I just think that you have to be so athletic to do those pole classes. And I'm like, if I can climb that pole, then that is something. An exercise class, a lot of women turn to yoga and Pilates in this as they get into their 40s, because it helps with breathing. So we've got that nice stress relief. It does help with functional movement, like we're moving through poses, flowing through poses, really stretching and moving and building strength. It also, like I said, builds strength, so you get that bone support. So that could be something to look at. So whatever activity you do, pick an activity and then build from there. We have to build from there, because your activity has to check all the boxes here. And if it doesn't check the boxes, we just need to add in little pieces. So is it fun? Hopefully your activity is fun, because we don't want you to be doing an activity that you hate doing, you're just doing it because damn perimenopause, I gotta do this activity. So do the activity that you have fun with. So is it functional? Is it helping you get around in everyday life tasks? Again, that reaching, that moving with ease, is it supporting your bones? So are you building muscle in this activity? And I think about, playing darts. Like darts is an activity and it's fun. Are you building muscle? There's a little bit of weight bearing as you're moving around, but you might need to stress those muscles a little bit more. So important one, stress relief. Are you feeling energized after your workout or are you feeling drained? And this is something that in our 20s and 30s, maybe we could do an hour boot camp class and we would feel great. But as we're getting older, it's too much stress. Cortisol starts to after about 30 minutes, like even 20 minutes sometimes, cortisol will just be like, this is too much. And it's just pumping out into our body and our body is just drained at the end, feeling burnt out at the end of a workout. So make sure your workout is leaving you energized and not drained. If you are leaving your workout and you are feeling exhausted and drained, like you have to go to bed, you need to back up the time, less time on your activity or less intensity. And this was a big one for me because when I was teaching Zumba and it was a high intensity, after I was done teaching, I had to come home and go to bed because I felt like I was going to throw up and I had a major headache. Like I did that for years. Why did I do that? Like my body is screaming at me, like telling me, slow down, it's too much. And I just keep going. So listen to the signals because they're there. Heart health. So are you getting your heart rate up? And it doesn't have to be like steady state of cardio, but you need to have bursts of cardio where your heart is working hard. So making sure you're getting those bursts. And you can even do that in a strength training class. Like even my strength training workout this morning, I wanted to get it done quickly. So I was going through the workout quickly and my heart rate was up. I count that as cardio. I was up, I was breathless, and it didn't matter if I was on the treadmill, but my heart rate was up. Calorie burning. So is your activity burning calories? If you're not sitting, likely it's going to be burning calories. And then a duration. So can you do this activity daily? And so we need to be active daily is my message there. So do your activity and then find spaces where you need to fill in. But I'm going to say walking can be your best friend. Walking is made for the perimenopausal woman. It boosts your mood. It produces endorphins. So you get that nice stress relief. You get energized. You start to feel good. It's a natural painkiller. If you're dealing with any body aches or any body pains, it's going to help alleviate some of those pains. It helps with anxiety. It increases your self-esteem and feelings of well-being. These are all from stats from research papers. I should have listed it, but I didn't. It works the heart to improve your heart health. And it's a weight-bearing exercise, which brings about the benefits of bone health. So it improves your mood, lowers stress, reduces anger, improves confidence. It is just the best. Christine's got a question. Go ahead, Christine.
Not a question, but just a comment that if you add the Nordic poles, or even if you just walk with walking sticks, you use more energy. It does get your heart rate up faster, and you wind up using 90% of your muscles from the shoulders on down.
Nice, even better. Yeah.
Even better. Yeah. It turns walking into a workout.
Yeah. So Nordic walking.
Nordic walking.
For the perimenopausal woman.
Exactly. Yes. And there is a group that meets on Monday mornings at the SOS, but there's lots of other ways to do it if that doesn't suit your schedule.
Yeah.
And poles, it's obviously becoming a more popular thing because poles are sold everywhere now, not just specialty sporting goods stores.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Lori, you do pole walking? Awesome. Good. Thanks, Christine. Okay, so so you need to move and you need to make it a priority. You'll have to work smarter to get the results you want. So in terms of, I'm just going to use this as an example. If you were like, when our 20s and 30s, it was like, if I want to burn calories, I'm going to just do more cardio and burn calories and I'll lose weight that way. Can't do that anymore because the longer you go, the more stress hormone is going to be released and then you're just going to gain stress weight. So you have to be smarter about your workouts, which means just doing it every day, being religious about it and mixing it up. So if you do a strength training workout, once you feel recovered from that strength training workout, which might be like 2 days or 3 days, then you can do another strength training workout. You don't want to do work the same muscle group on top of that exercise because they're not repaired. And again, it's just more stress for our body. So we have to, mix in your favorite activity with some walking, with some strength training, with some yoga, and make sure it's going to suit your needs and suit your schedule. Again, but there's always this this caveat: don't make it stressful. If you are stressed about getting all of your activities in, it's not going to work for you. So just do what feels good, and then when you're ready, do more. Don't over exercise, as we talked about. Find a fun movement, get 30 minutes in. You can do 10-minute intervals, and just make sure it's functional and heart healthy and builds muscle to protect bones. So just to recap for today, so we just talked about accepting the transition. So use your wisdom, rest when your body, mind, and soul say to rest. And then balance your insulin through nutrition with your meal timing, no snacking, just 3 meals a day, eat your protein. And then also movement. You got to move now because, like I said, estrogen and progesterone are not there to protect our body as it was doing in our 20s and 30s. So that's it. Thanks for coming today. Does anybody have any questions? Go back up. No? Okay, well, I will if you guys want to leave there, you can. I am going to, Christina's got a question, just a second. Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, I just wonder, I'm going to be 70 in about 7 weeks. And I'm wondering, is my body still, my problem with when I was in perimenopause and menopause and then just after, my problem was always too much progesterone or too much estrogen, estrogen.
Yeah.
And so I took a supplement to kind of balance that out. And that really helped a lot with regulating and with all of the stuff with my PMS and period pain. But I'm wondering, at this age, am I still likely to be producing those? Because I still have a lot of the symptoms that you were talking about, but obviously I haven't had periods for many, many years.
Yeah, I think, with the lack of estrogen and progesterone, you're going to see those symptoms kind of persist and not persist. It's not that they will eventually taper down, but you just don't have the estrogen and progesterone that you once did to, like I said, to protect, to do the work. So you have to do the work to help them out. So your body is still going to produce a little bit of estrogen to help. Whenever you're exercising, your fat stores estrogen. So whenever you're exercising and you need to tap into fat stores for energy, you're going to be releasing a little bit of estrogen. So that's another good reason why to exercise, to like release that estrogen from our fat stores. Estrogen from our fat stores is from our environment. So unfortunately, it's like a lot of things in our environment mimic estrogens, and so our body stores them for later. Sometimes it can be toxic, but sometimes it's healthy too. Some things you find in like flax seeds and soybeans are going to be estrogens that are going to be stored in your fat cells, so you can use those as well. So your body's still going to be producing estrogen, which will definitely help, but it's just not as much as what we had before. Yeah. So, Lori, go ahead. Oops. There you go. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just wondering if I could meet with you probably later for some questions.
Yeah, sure.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, we'll just stay on after everyone's
Okay.
done.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sheila, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the sugar. Is like maple syrup, honey, that sort of thing okay? Like if you're like adding it, say, to your latte or something, or like a little Like, is there a certain amount of like a couple of teaspoons a day at the max or something like that?
I mean, it is sugar, so it's better, definitely better, especially if you get local stuff because you're getting all of that good nutrition, but it is going to be sugar. So even if you just track for a few days to see, okay, this is what I normally have. I have a couple of teaspoons in my latte of maple syrup and honey. Where is my sugar in terms of 40 to 60 grams? Am I staying within that range? And if you are, then I would say it's probably okay to keep it in. We can't, totally, I don't think we should totally eliminate sugar because that's just going to lead to binging and other issues. But it's just learning to live with kind of live within these parameters of 40 to 60 grams and see how that fits in. So yeah, I definitely think those are better choices than, like just a white sugar for sure.
Thank you.
Yep. So if there's no more questions, I was gonna say thank you for today. I do have, you feel free to leave if you want. I was just gonna introduce my perimenopause protocol and what that program looks like. So if you want to stay on, you can, but if you want to go, thank you so much for coming. And if you have any other questions, please just, send me a message. And even if you're dealing with other things that we didn't talk about, because I am just continually learning. I'm just trying to take everything from clients and just, girlfriends that I meet, like, what are we all going through here? I just want to know all of it and just see what we're experiencing and how unique it is to each and all of us. So I created a new program called the Peri-Menopause Protocol. And the program is a weight loss a little bit of a weight loss program, specifically if you've accumulated weight around the belly. If you feel like you've got lots of sugar cravings or carb cravings, then this is a good program for you, even alcohol cravings. If you're feeling exhausted, irritable, moody, inflamed, you've got 10 to 20 pounds that you want to lose, hormones are working against you, like we just talked about, and you just feel like you kind of needed a new plan because the plan in the 20s and 30s didn't work. I just need a new plan that's going to work. And then, if you're dealing with these symptoms and you feel like they're kind of taking over your life and just disrupting the quality of life. So it's in this program, it's a one-on-one program. So you get one-on-one coaching calls, weekly messenger check-ins to see how you're doing. We'll do custom meal plans, and then also you have access to the nutrition logging app. There's 3 levels of support to choose from. Oh, before I get into that, here's all the modules that are included in this program. So these modules are all pre-recorded, and you can kind of go at this at your own pace. The idea is to kind of do 1 module a week so you don't get overwhelmed. But again, if you want to dig in and just like see what it's all about, you can. And again, as I'm learning, I'm adding more and more to these modules as well. And I just keep having a list of things that I need to keep adding. So week 1 and week 2 are all about nutrition. Week 3, we talk about movement. 4 is stress management. 5 is our physical body changes. So things that we are experiencing that, don't have to do with exercise. Digestion is week 6. Mental health is 7. Emotional health is week 8. Talk about sleep week 9, supplements week 10, detoxification week 11, and then 12 accepting the transition. So those are the modules that are included. And then here are the levels. So level 1 is 3 different levels. So the first one, option 1, it's $500. You use Practice Better, which is my nutrition app. So you plug in there and then I can see everything that's going on. You get the Peri-Menopause Protocol, which are all those education resources that were before. We will work on a custom meal plan together. So we'll get something that's very customizable to you that is going to help lower insulin, but be the foods that you want to eat. We'll do 3 one-on-one coaching calls, 1 at the beginning of each month. And then you also get, and it's 3 months of support. So the program is 3 months long. And then I'm also going to send you a Renfo scale. If you haven't seen a Renfo scale before, they're pretty cool. They measure not only your weight, but it measures like your visceral fat, your metabolic age, your subcutaneous fat, your muscle mass, your bone density. Anyway, they're really kind of cool, encompassing scales because it gives us other parameters to look at instead of just weight. Like, okay, our visceral fat is 15. That's the fat that we want to get rid of. Can we work on trying to get that down no matter what the weight says? So that's option one. And then option two is it's $1,000. So you get everything in the other one. This one, we work with metabolic balance. So metabolic balance is you get your blood work taken. I give you a requisition to get your blood work taken. And then we send that blood work plus anything else that you are dealing with, any kind of aches and pains, any symptoms you're dealing with. We send that information off to a naturopathic doctor and to a medical doctor. And then they create a meal plan specific for you. So you will get specific proteins for you that are best for your body based on your blood work, specific fruits, specific vegetables, specific carbohydrates, and you get specific amounts as well. So based on your goal, it'll say, okay, you get 170 grams of yogurt, and these are the types of yogurt that you get. So it's very specific for you, for your body, based on your goals and your blood work. We'll do 4 coaching calls, 4 one-on-one coaching calls. Again, I'm checking in every week. It's still 3 months of support. You'll get the Renfrew scale, and then I'll also send you a digital scale to weigh your food because you have to start weighing your food. And then the option 3 is the VIP option, and you're actually with me for 6 months of support. So all of the other stuff you get as well, Practice Better, protocol, the blood work, the meal plan. We're going to do 8 coaching calls. Plus you get an energy medicine session, which is helps to balance your body, I'm going to say. So our body has these chakras that run through it, and some of them can be a little bit off. So energy medicine session just kind of gets everything going in the right direction to open up to allow for energy. We have online fitness classes, so you would get an online fitness class of your choice for that 6 months as well, and you can mix it up if you want. And then after the 3 months, then I'll put you into my membership, my Eat, Heal, Thrive community, where we do a different theme every month, and we have weekly group coaching calls in there. You also get a digital scale for food, and then a Renfrew scale as well. So that is launching. And then, obviously, I want you to lose belly fat if that's what you have. I want you to have better, steady energy, less inflammation, balance your hormones, better sleep, better moods, and then just, go through perimenopause with like ease and joy and feeling radiant and vibrant and just being the woman that you just envision yourself being. So if you are interested in that, just send me a message, and then we can definitely book up a time to talk and see if it's a good fit for you, and then we can go from there. It is open all the time. So it's like my new program that I'm going to be having all the time. So whenever you're ready, it is there for you for sure. So, all right, so I'm going to stop share. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? We're good? All right, well, I will stop the recording and I'll say bye to Christine and bye to Sheila, and then Lori and we can stay on. So thanks again, everyone, for coming, and we will chat later. Bye.
Bye.